The Spotlighter Theater has been serving audiences of Baltimore for over 50 years, and in its history, they have varied their productions to include popular plays, locally written ones, and a few gems that have been overlooked by many other theater companies. But they always find a way to make them interesting. Not that I can speak for them all, being under 50 and all, but that has been the case for every show I've seen in the last 10 years from them, and this latest show is no exception. Pygmalion is one of those archetype stories that is done over and over again in culture that dates back to the original Greek story of the same name. But George Burnham Shaw adaptation of it is so powerful it can speak to audiences almost a century after its release. Why Spotlighters didn't make any dramatic changes to how they presented the play, they did manage to find an almost perfect cast to represent both the original story and the community Baltimore. And aside from a few hiccups, which you'll see on almost any live theater on opening night, it was near perfect rendition of the story. The standout for the already good cast were the two leads, Henry Higgins and Eliza Doolittle. Linda C. Bullock was played transforming Eliza from street rat to high class. Rather well, in my opinion, and considering the demands on the range and the dialect, I must say she did a good job. Well, aside from the little crack in her mask that I saw her laughing at a particular funny moment at the very beginning of the play when she was supposed to be in the midst of crying, but to contrast that, Henry Higgins, played by Phil, I'm definitely gonna butcher this one, Gallagher. The character's unflappable demeanor never changed that much, but this role demanded a more subtle shifting, really dependent on the person he was talking to at the time. And Phil managed to accomplish this with ease, or at least the illusion of it. He was really the glue that held the play in part, but not its heart. That went to Eliza's role. The static personality and development of Henry, compared to the dynamics of Eliza's, is perfectly encapsulated between the interactions between Linda and Phil. They're like a current of warm and cold air, if I have my meteorological metaphor right, that creates a vortex that pulls the rest of the cast in around them and inwards. If I had any criticism for the play, it would only be two things. There was some awkward, drawn-out lines, mainly occurring at the end of a few scenes, but there were some spots here and there, and something I call lock face syndrome. That's when someone's expression is locked in place for too long. To their credit, there was only at one point where it broke me from the immersion in the experience. But after that one point, I would find my mind drifting, looking at the actors' or actresses' facial expressions and wondering if it was their choice to make that face, which I didn't really agree with, or whether the director or some advisor told them to do that for that particular scene. All in all, it was a good show, and it definitely did not feel the 2 and 45 minute runtime displayed on the program. If you're in the Baltimore area, I would definitely recommend checking it out. It runs until March 10th of this year.